A championship run for the Chicago Bears in 2026 demands a complete defensive transformation after a season of struggle. Bear down! The franchise's hopes are hitting an unexpected wall at OTAs, raising red flags for fans across the country. Watching the team fall to 29th in total yards allowed last year was painful, but the current injury news hitting the secondary and the line is creating a wave of concern. Why are so many key contributors already sidelined? We have a special shout out to our loyal viewers watching from Chicago and all across the globe. Stay tuned as we break down the reality of this situation and what it means for your favorite team's future. At the center of this debate is Kyler Gordon, whose physical availability is once again becoming a primary talking point for the coaching staff and the front office. We cannot talk about the Bears' path to the Super Bowl without addressing the recurring health issues that have plagued Gordon throughout his professional career. After limited appearances in 2025, seeing him sidelined with a soft tissue injury at the start of OTAs is the last thing anyone wanted to witness. While it might not be a season-ending catastrophe, the pattern is undeniably ominous for a player the team relies on for nickel coverage. The organization is clearly treading carefully, limiting his reps to ensure he doesn't suffer a setback that could linger into the regular season. If Kyler Gordon cannot find a way to stay on the field, the ripple effect on the secondary will be immediate and severe. This isn't just about one player, it is about the stability of an entire defensive unit that needs to gel before the lights go bright in September. We are seeing a defensive backfield that was already thin, now being tested before the first preseason game is even on the horizon. The question remains, can the training staff get him to a point where he can endure the grind of a 17-game schedule? This is the specific kind of recurring hurdle that stalls championship momentum. Fans need to pay close attention to his practice participation over the coming weeks, as any further limitation will signal that the defensive backfield is headed for another chaotic, injury-riddled campaign that could derail the entire season before it truly begins. The injury bug is not limiting itself to Kyler Gordon, creating a chain reaction of uncertainty across the entire secondary. Malik Muhammad was noticeably absent from recent sessions, leaving a massive gap for potential depth. When you consider that Tyreek Stevenson struggled on deep balls during recent drills, the potential loss of Muhammad for even a short period is a serious blow to our defensive reliability. To make matters worse, we saw Cam Lewis leave the field early with trainers, a sight that every fan dreads during these voluntary periods. Lewis was brought in specifically to be the insurance policy for the slot, and seeing him go down adds a layer of anxiety regarding how thin our roster truly is at the cornerback position. Why does this matter? Because a Super Bowl caliber team cannot afford to be vulnerable on the perimeter. If the depth chart is constantly shifting because of minor nagging injuries, the defensive backs never get the necessary reps to build chemistry and trust. We are essentially watching a high-stakes puzzle where the pieces are being removed before we can even put them together. The coaching staff is forced to adjust schemes and rotate backups, which limits their ability to evaluate the true potential of this group for the 2026 season. If the Bears want to climb from the bottom third of the league in passing yards allowed, they need the core rotation to be healthy and active, not stuck on the sideline. This recurring trend of injuries is putting immense pressure on the remaining healthy players to perform at an elite level. And frankly, that is a dangerous game to play in the ultra-competitive NFC North. Moving to the trenches, the news regarding Jonah Jackson brings a different kind of pressure to the offensive side of the equation. As one of our starting guards, Jackson is critical to protecting the quarterback and opening lanes for the run game, yet his track record with injuries is becoming a legitimate concern. Even a limited appearance at practice is a sign that the training staff is monitoring him closely, which is frustrating given that we were all hoping for a clean bill of health during these early OTAs. This matters because the cohesion of the offensive line is the foundation upon which everything else is built. If our starters are not fully participating, we cannot solidify the blocking schemes that will define our offensive identity this year. Beyond Jackson, we have to look at the expected absences like TJ Edwards, Dayo Odeyingbo, and Ozzy Trapilo. These are not just depth pieces. These are integral parts of our defensive identity. Edwards is fighting to return from a fractured fibula, while Odenbo's recovery from a torn Achilles leaves the edge rusher position in a state of flux. The loss of these veterans forces younger, unproven players into roles they may not be ready for yet. If the Bears are serious about a deep postseason run, they need these veterans back and at 100% capacity. The fear among the fan base is that we are repeating the same cycle of injury-driven inconsistency that defined the previous year, and that is a narrative we need to break immediately if we want to change our final standing in the division. Why does this situation truly matter for the future of the franchise? Because the 2026 season was supposed to be the year we moved past the excuses and stepped into contention. When your starting lineup is constantly in a state of flux, you lose the competitive advantage that comes with continuity. We are talking about the difference between a team that makes the playoffs and one that watches from the couch in January. If we look at the edge rusher depth, players like Austin Booker and Shamar Turner are talented, but expecting them to carry the weight if Dayo Odenbo is not ready is a massive gamble. The defensive front was supposed to be our strength, yet here we are talking about rehabilitation protocols instead of sack totals. This affects everything from the division race to our ability to match up against elite passing attacks in the playoffs. Every day that a starter misses is a day that the chemistry of the defense suffers. We are essentially giving away valuable development time. It is important to emphasize that this isn't just a wait-and-see situation. This is a foundational problem. If the medical staff doesn't have these guys ready by training camp, we are looking at a messy start to the year that could put us in a hole we cannot climb out of. The margin for error in the NFL is razor thin, and the Bears are currently dancing on the edge of that margin. Fans have every right to be concerned about the durability of this roster, as championship windows do not stay open forever, and we simply cannot afford to waste a season waiting for guys to get healthy. The silver lining here lies in the resilience of players like Braxton Jones, who is stepping up with a renewed sense of purpose after his benching last season. Knowing he is 2 years removed from his own major injury gives us hope that the medical staff knows exactly how to handle these rehab processes effectively. While the concern surrounding Kyler Gordon and the secondary remains the biggest story of these OTAs, we have to trust that the coaching staff has the right plan in place to mitigate these risks. The path to the Super Bowl is never paved with perfection, and how we handle this early season adversity will reveal the true character of this squad. We need the veterans to return to form, and we need the depth players to seize their opportunities while the doors are open. This is a critical time for the team to define who they are, and every rep matters, whether on the field or in the training room. We are watching a team that has the talent, but the availability of that talent is the ultimate wild card for 2026. As we look ahead to training camp, the narrative will shift from who is injured to who can step up and claim a starting spot. We will be tracking every update to see if these players can overcome their physical hurdles in time for the opener. Now, I want to hear from you. With the secondary dealing with these early injury concerns, which player do you think needs to have a breakout season the most for the Bears to reach the Super Bowl in 2026? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.